Today we are solving LeetCode problem 165 compare version number. So this is a very interesting string problem. Okay, and so let's start. So see, first let's understand what is problem saying. Have you ever seen this on your phones? So on your phone, update available. So current version 1.2 and latest version is 1.10. Okay, so your phone compare these version numbers and tell you which is near. Okay, so that is exactly what this problem has to do. So we are given two version numbers. So version 1 is 1.2, so this is in string, and version 2 is 1.10. Okay, and we need to compare them and return -1 if version 1 is smaller, 1 if version 1 is bigger, or 0 if both are equal. Okay, so now version number means what exactly is version number is. See, look at it, 1.2.3. okay, so version numbers are numbers separated by dots. Okay, so version numbers are numbers that are separated by dots. So each number between dot is called a revision. Okay, each number between dot is called a revision, and version numbers are separated by dots. Okay, so version 1.2.3 has three revision, that was 1 2 3. Okay, so now let's understand with example. See, we have a version 1 is 1.2 and version 2 is 1.10. okay, so we compare revision by revision. So revision 1 is 1 is equal to 1, so we move on. 1 with 1 is equal, so we move on. Okay, so revision 2 is 10 and 1.10. so this is a string. Okay, 1.10 and 1.2. so revision 2 is 2 where there are 10. Okay, so see, as number 2 is less than 10, so revision 1 is smaller. Okay, so revision 1 is smaller. So version 1 is smaller, so we return -1. So in this problem they are returning -1. Okay, so that's how the output is -1, because version 1 is smaller, so that we are going to return -1. See, return the following if version 1 is less than version 2. So version 1 is less than version 2, so here we are going to return -1. Okay, if version 1 is greater version 2, so return 1, otherwise return 0. Okay, so always compare as numbers, not a string. Okay, so see, always compare as number, not a string. So 2 with 10, so as string 2 is greater than 10, so it was wrong. So 2 is 10, as a number is 2 is less than 10, so it was correct. Okay, now let's take one more example. So we have version 1 is 1.0 and version 2 is this is string 1.0.0. okay, so see, revision 1 is 1 with 1 when 1 with 1 is equal, it was equal. Okay, so we move to revision 2. So 0 with 0 also equal, so we move revision 3. So see, 0 with there is nothing. Okay, so 0 with 0 is, so this revision 3 in version 1 is missing, so here we are going to return 0. Okay, so so 0, so here we, if there is nothing, we treat as 0 only. So 0 with 0 it was equal, so we are going to return 0. Okay, because our full revision is equal, 1 with 1 equal, so 0 with 0 equal, but in revision 1 there is no revision 3. Okay, in version 1 there is no revision 3, but we are going to treat as 0, okay, because in version 2 there is a number, so that's why here we are going to return 0. So the answer is 0. Let's take one more example. Version 1 is 1.01 and version 2 is 1.001. okay, so version 1 with 1 is equal, in version 2 0 with 0. See, these number are joined, okay, this is whole number 0 because they are not separated, only one is separated by dot, okay. Version 1 is 1 equal, in version 2 0 1, in version 1 there is 0 1 and in version 2 there is 0 0 1. So 0 1 as integer is 1 and 0 0 1 as integer is 1, so 1 is 1 equal, so we are going to return 0, okay. So that's how we are going to solve this problem. So next, so the idea to solve this problem, now let's think about how to solve this problem, okay. Instead of splitting by dots, we walk through both string character by character, okay. We walk through character by character. So see, version 1 is 1.2 and version 2 is 1.10, so I is equal to 0, 1.2 and j is equal to 0, 1.1.0, okay. We keep building the number until we hit a dot, okay. So we take one variable, num1 is equal to 0, so revision version 1 of 0 is 1, okay, 1. So, we go character by character, okay. So 1 and num1 is equal to 0 into 10 plus 1 is equal to 1, okay. So version 1 0 1 2 0 1 2 3, okay, this is the index of these numbers. So at index 1 there is a dot, okay. Version 1 of 1 is dot, so here we stop, so num1 is equal to 1, okay. Now we move to num2, that is division 2, num2 is equal to 0, so version 2 of 0 is 1, okay. So sums 2, 0 into 10 plus 1 was 1, so version 2 index 1 is dot, so we stop, so num2 is 1, okay. So we skip. For next we compare 1, so num1 and num2, the answer is 1 1, so it was equal, so we move on and we skip the dots, okay. Next, num1 is equal to 0, we start from 0 only, and version 1 of 2 there was 2, so num1 is equal to 0 into 10 plus 2, okay. So end of string, see, this is the end of string, so we start and num1 is, now it was 2, okay. Now and is 2, and now we move to version 2, now we move to version 2 num2, so num2 is 0, so version 2 of string 2 it was 1 to index 2 there is a value is 1, and you have num2 is equal to 0 into 10 plus 2 1, that was 1, okay. At index 3 there is 0, so version 2 of 3 0, num2 is 1 into 10 0, so it was 10. Okay, so end of string, so we stop. So num2 is 10. Now we compare. See, in num1 there is 2, and so in num1 there was 2, and in num2 there was 10. So 2 is less than 10, so we return -1. So the answer is -1. Okay, now let's dry run our idea. So let's flag through completely. So version 1 is 1.2 and version 2 is 1.10. So 0 1 2 0 1 2 3 0 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. Okay, so n is equal to 3. Version 1 is n and m is 4 1 2 3 4. Okay, we start from index 0. So this n is size of v1. Okay, and m4 is size of v2. So v1 is version 1 and v2 is version 2. So next is I is equal to 0 and j is equal to 0. In first step, num1 is 0 and num2 is 0. So we build num1. Okay, so num1 version 1 of 0 is equal to 1, and num1 is 0 into 10 plus 1 1. So version 1 of 1 it was dot. So here we stop. Okay, so now we build num2. Okay, version 2 of 0 1. So num2 of 0 into 10 plus 1 1, and version 2 of 1, so it was dot. So here we stop. Now we compare. So it was 1 and 1. Okay, in num1 it was 1 and in num2 there was 1, so 1 is, so we compare 1 and 1, so it was equal, so we skip dot. Now I is 2 and j is 2. Okay, so next we start. Num1 is 0 and num2 is 0. Now we build first num1. So version 1 of 2 is 2, index 2 it's 2. So num1 is 0 into 10 plus 2, that was 2. So now I is equal to 3. So end of string, so we stop. Okay, now we build num2. So the it will update become 2. So we build num2. Version 2 of 2 it was 1, and num2 0 into 10 plus 1 1, and version 2 of 3 index 3 there is 0. So num2 1 into 10 plus 0 10. Now j is equal to 4. So end of string, so here we stop. Now we compare 2 and 10. Okay, so 2 is less than 10. Here we are going to return -1. So the answer is -1. Okay, now let's take one more example. Let me clear this. Now let's take new example. Okay, version 1 is 1.0.1 and version 2 is 1. Let's take only one number. Now 0 1 2 3 4 5 and 1. So n is equal to 5 and m is equal to 1 and I is equal to 0 and j is equal to 0. Okay, now first num1 is equal to 0 and num2 is equal to 0. First we build num1, so that was version 1. Okay, so version 1 of 0 0 1 2 3 4 and 0. Okay, so version 1 of 0 is 1. Okay, so now num1 is 1. Okay, so version 1, so it was in dot, so here we stop. Okay, now we build num2. So version 2 of 0 1, so num2 is 1. Okay, So now j is equal to 1. Here we stop because it's out of bound. So for now we compare 1 base 1 base 1 is equals. So it was equal, so we skip dots, so we skip this, I comes here, and we skip this dot. Now I comes here. Okay, now j becomes 1 because it's out of bond. So next round we have these numbers. Num1 is 0 and num2 is 0. First we will num1. Okay, so we all know here. Okay, at index 2, so v1 of 2 is 0, so num1 is 0. Okay, and version 1 of 3 is dot, so here we stop. Now we build num2, so the answer is 0. Okay, now we build num2, so j is equal to 1, end of string. So num2 is 0, missing is equal to 0. Okay, missing is equal to 0. Now we compare 0 with 0, it was equal. Now I is equal to 4 and j is equal to 1. Now we at round 3, so first num1 is 0 and num2 is 0. We build num1 first. Okay, version 1 of 4 is 1, so here num1 is 1. Okay, and I is equal to 5 yen, so we stop. Now we build num2, j is equal to 1 yen because there is no out of bound, so that's why we are going to return 0. So we compare 1 with 0 is not equal because 1 is greater than 0, so here we are going to return 1. Okay, so the answer is 1. Now we write a code. Okay, so now see, now let's write a code looking at our triangle. Okay, so see, n is equal to size of version 1 and m is equal to size of version 2, and version 1 is like 1.2, so n is equal to 3, and version 2 is 1.10, m is equal to 4. Okay, so we need to know when to stop working. Okay, so we write, now we write like this: int n is equal to v1 dot size and int m is equal to v2 dot size. Okay, version 1 and version 2. Next, see, we need this I, 2 pointers. I is equal to 0 and j is equal to 0. Pointer I is the pointer of version 1 and j is the pointer of version 2. Okay, so we walk through both string together, so that's why we write int I is equal to 0 and int j is equal to 0. Okay, now see, we looking until both string are done, so I is less than n, so version 1 not done. If j is less than m, version 2 not done. Okay, so while loop any one is not done, so that's why we write while I is less than n or j is less than m. Okay, next see, in our diagram we have seen num1 is 0 and num2 is 0, so we start fresh at each round. Okay, so here we have start fresh. First we have start with 0 and in next round we have start with fresh. Where is that? Here I think. So here we have start fresh and here also. Okay, in first round num1 is 0 and num2 is 0. In next round num1 is 0 and num2 is 0. So see, fresh start for each round. Okay, we start fresh for each round. We are going to start from 0 only for each round, so that's why we write int num1 is equal to 0 and num2 is equal to 0. Okay, now see, in our diagram we have write version 1 of 0 is equal to 1. So num1 is 0 into 10 plus 1, it was 1. So version 1 of index 1, that was dot. So here we stop. Okay, so we keep adding digit, until dot or end. Okay, we end if the dot will come, until we adding digits. Okay, so how those say num1 is num1 into 10 plus v1 of I minus 0. Okay, so v1 of I 0, it's convert character to integer. Character 1, if 0, it will convert in 1. If we have character 2, so 0, it will convert to 2. Okay, if we have character 9, you do this 0 and it's convert to 9. Okay, so see, if num1 is 0, we have digit 1, character 1. So num1 is 0 into 10 plus 1, it was 1. So now see, 0 in num1, 1 into 10 is 10 plus 0 is 10. Okay, so here let's write down the code. While I is less than n and v1 I is not equal to dot, num1 is equal to num1 into 10 plus v1 of I 0. Okay, next I plus plus. So there's, for same we build for num2 also, because see, same as num1 but for version 2. Okay, v2 of 0 is 1. Okay, so this is see 1. So num2 is equal to 1, so v2 of 1 is equal to dot. Here we stop. Okay, so same for version 2 also we write while j is less than m and version 2 of j is not equal to dot, and you have num2 is equal to num2 into 10 plus num2 is version 2 of j minus 0 j plus plus j plus plus. So see, so in first try run round 2, see 2 was 10. So 2 is less than 10, so here we are going to return negative 1. But in round 3, see 1 was 10, so 1 is greater than 0, so here we are going to return 1. So we write in our code like this: if num1 is greater than num2, return negative 1. If num1 is greater than num2, return 1. We are going to return 1. Okay, you have to skip the dot also. Okay, after comparing, skip the dot. I was at I was a dot, so I plus plus, and J was a dot, so J plus plus. We move next revision. Okay, so we write if I is less than n and v1 of I is equal to dot I plus plus. If j is less than m and version 2 of j version 2 of j is equal to dot j plus plus. Hmm? So if row finish without returning all revisions are equal, then we are going to return 0. Okay, so in last we just return 0. So we have right argon which was version 1 and also to ij. So next we have build num 1. Okay, here we have build num 1 and here we are going to build num 2. What is this? Okay, undeclared. So we just cut this version 1 and version 2. Okay, so this is our code. Let me minimize. Okay.